So Louis Profeta is an emergency room doctor from Indianapolis. He came on the first men's trip that we ever had. So when everything happened with Corona, here I am in Jerusalem, and I was on Facebook, we're Facebook friends, and he was posting some very moving stories about what was going on, very dramatic stories. And he was trying to because this was at the beginning of everything, he was trying to wake up the world. This is serious.
The early days of COVID in our emergency department back around mid-March were some of the worst moments of my life in terms of being a clinician and more than 27 years in a level 1 trauma center. And I was completely unprepared about how tough the environment would be to practice in. We had not a ton of patients. In fact, the volume was actually low, but the level of acuity and how sick these poor people were was nothing I had ever experienced. We would end up putting them on ventilators, putting them on life support, and literally we'd watch these people die right in front of our eyes. I mean, nothing we did seemed to help. And Lori, I remember, texted me late at night. It was probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think she was in Israel at the time.
I said, "How you doing, Doc?" And he said, "Lori, I'm scared." Now, I want you to appreciate Louis Profeta is a tough guy. And he's saying, "I'm scared."
I told her it was a hellhole right now, that it was as bad as it's ever been, and that I thought that almost all the patients we were seeing at that point in the emergency department were going to die.
So I said, "What's your Jewish name? I'm going to pray for you." And he gave me his Jewish name, and I said, "Don't worry, I've got you."
I really hadn't been thinking too much of prayer, because when you're in the midst of something like this, sometimes sort of obvious solutions or obvious interventions are not as apparent.
So I got an idea to create a site or some sort of platform where people could pray for each other during this time. And not just for each other, that we should be praying for the people on the front lines.
There's this need when there's a problem in society, when things aren't going well, whether it's an earthquake or a hurricane or flooding or unrest, that we want to do something, that we want to help. Well, in this situation, this is one of those things where we had no ability to help. There's nothing the average person, for the most part, had to offer other than just staying home, wearing a mask, and social distancing. And for so many people, that just was not enough.
So Momentum created something called Care with a Prayer, where you could go on a site and say, give me the name of a healthcare worker, of a first responder, somebody I can pray for. And thousands of people participated.
There was a whole community of people out there that needed to feel like they could contribute something on a spiritual level. And as strange as it sounds, it's almost too much to even pray if you're a healthcare provider in that situation. You're just trying to dissociate yourself emotionally from it. And the whole notion that maybe there's somebody else that can do that for me was incredibly empowering, incredibly uplifting.
The doctors and the nurses and the EMTs, the first responders, they were meeting the immediate physical needs, the emergency needs that were happening to people's bodies. But we saw that families were in crisis. We had to respond to their souls.